Good morning. Welcome to another fresh edition of Newspaper Review on Inside Nigeria. My name is Winifred Webo, and today is Monday, April 7, 2025. It's a fresh edition of the program. And as usual on the program, we look at what the papers are saying, including Nigeria's most influential leadership and its sister publication, National Economy. As we normally do on the program, let's see what leadership has on its menu this Monday. Is World Health Day, and leadership is leading with a story. Experts demand urgent reforms in health sector. World Health Day, experts demand urgent reforms in health sector. And on leadership today, we have illustrations beneath that leading story. We have 2.48 trillion naira. Head got 2.48 trillion naira. That is 5.1% allocation in 2025 budget. This falls far short of the 15% budgeted for by the African Union for African countries or African governments to budget 50% of their annual budgets to health sector. But this year, 2025, the health sector got 2.48 trillion naira, which is 5.1% allocation. This is very, very paltry compared to 15%. Nigeria's 1,047 deaths per 100,000 live births among highest globally. Only 19.2 million enrolled in health insurance. Nigerians lament high cost of healthcare. Out-of-pocket expenditure still 75%. Out-of-pocket expenditure still 75%. In other words, we are having situations whereby Nigerians have to pay from their pockets for health expenditure, for their health needs, which is contrary to the expected national health insurance, where the health insurance scheme eliminates out-of-pocket expenditure. Also, doctor to patient ratio fall below recommendations. These are still the negatives in the health sector that Nigeria is still contending with. World Health Day, experts demand urgent reforms in health sector. These illustrations illustrates the impact, or rather the prevailing situation in Nigeria's health sector. We move on to other stories gracing the cover of leadership this Monday. Unpaid benefits, new Nigerian death toll hits 110. Police withdraw Sanusi's invitation letter. Tour operators fought NACON over 2025 Hajj plans. Stop plateau killings, ACF tells federal government. And that takes us to the stories just beneath the masthead. ICPC refuses to name hospital persons involved in contract fraud. Foreign airlines misplaced 4,353 passengers' baggage in 2024. And atop the masthead of leadership, Dangote Wike governors orders to receive awards. Shettima speaks on Nigeria's fiscal federalism. From there, we move to page 3 today, where we have our stand. Today's stand is on still on violence in Plateau. Still on violence in Plateau. The killing fields of Plateau State have once again been soaked in blood, this time claiming 52 lives in Bokos local government area. After the gruesome Christmas 2023 massacre that left about 200 people dead, we had hoped that some authorities will implement concrete measures to prevent such tragedies from recurring. Yet here we are again with more innocent lives lost. 31 victims hastily committed to mass graves, 5 children burnt to ashes, and communities left in tatters. Today's stand on leadership, still on violence in Plateau. And the stand says they deserve a future free from fear, where they can rebuild their lives and communities in peace. Anything short of this will be a betrayal of our collective humanity and the constitutional obligation to protect all citizens, regardless of their ethnicity or religion. We must not allow the blood of these 52 victims to have been shed in vain. Let their memories for us to finally end the killing fields of Plateau and build a durable peace in this beautiful but troubled state. Excerpts from today's stand on leadership, still on violence in Plateau State. There is need to bring a lasting solution to the gruesome killings on the Plateau. From that, we move to the back page, where we have Mode column with Dakuku PT side. Dakuku is writing on NNPC leadership, agenda for 4 train oil giants. NNPC leadership agenda for faltering or a giant. And in quote, a well-managed NNPC limited could serve as the backbone of economic revival, while inefficiency could lead to a domino effect of economic crisis. Quote from today's Monday column with Dakuku Pitisai, NNPC leadership agenda for faltering or a giant. Just before we leave the back page, we must not fail to bet at Ghana Must Go. Tinubu's aide says $1 can buy you a meal in Nigeria, unlike in the US. And Ghana Must Go ask, in Oyigbo market? Is a question the Tinubu's aide has to answer to. It's on this note we conclude review of Leadership newspaper this Monday. Don't forget to log into the website of Leadership for continuation of these stories. Let's move over to the next paper we have on our lineup, and that is Vanguard. Vanguard says Cybercrime Act, emergency rule protest, anxiety as police organizers differ. While we are leading protest, TIB Sowore demand repeal of Cybercrime Act. Want government institutions restored in Rivers State. NLC, JAF orders back protest. Authorities must uphold human rights ahead of planned protest. Amnesty International. Police beef up security around strategic locations, installations in Lagos. Kickers to the leading story today on Vanguard newspaper. Cybercrime Act, emergency rule protest, anxiety as police organizers differ. We have the picture of the IGP Egbetokum Omoyele, Sowore, and Saya Olujuwon beneath that leading story. These are the people that are supposed to lead the protest, while the police differ on the proposed protest. Army captain, soldiers, scores of terrorists killed in Borno village. This story is on page 9 of Vanguard this Monday. Army captain, soldier, scores of terrorists killed in Borno village. Ikpeazu Gwanyi, Shehu Sani, Omokri, others make ambassadors list. Is a story that runs on page 36 of Vanguard, and the story has been trending since yesterday. However, the stories did say that Femi Fani-Kayode also made the list, but how true remains to be seen. Still on Vanguard, no respite for textile industry as domestic market shrinks further. No respite for textile industry as domestic market shrinks further. Nigeria battles meningitis with 151 deaths, 1,826 suspected cases. However, last week there was reported 74 deaths. Seems that the deaths are unabated. Nigeria battles meningitis with 151 deaths, 1,826 suspected cases. Lesser Rice Keyamo says aircraft recovery now seamless. And in sports, MPFL Enyimba stop Warriors in Oriental Derby. That takes us to the stories about the masthead of Vanguard. Police withdraw invitation letter to Emir Sanusi is also a trendy story in all the papers we have for review this Monday. Police withdraw invitation letter to Emir Sanusi. Moot 1, Plateau attacks genocider as can ACF others condemn killings. Trump's tariffs, over 50 countries ready to negotiate. U.S. officials, thousands march against Trump in U.S. That concludes front review headlines on Vanguard newspaper this Monday, April 7, 2025. For continuation of these headline stories, inside stories, don't forget to log into the website of Vanguard. From Vanguard, we move over to the next paper we have in on our menu. But however, just before we move to the Guardian, let's move over to the Nation, because the Nation is also talking proposed protest. It says police protesters head for showdown in Abuja, Lagos. Group to history is kicking against anti-cyber security law. Rivers emergency orders. Action subversive on police National Day. Kickers to the leading story on the Nation this Monday, just like Vanguard has it as its main cover. Police protesters head for showdown in Abuja, Lagos. Group to history is kicking against anti-cyber security law. Rivers emergency orders. Action subversive on police National Day. Why am I biting my tongue on that? Action subversive on police National Day. That obviously is coming from Egbetokum, the IGP. Still on the Nation newspaper, 1,820 residents displaced by Plateau attacks. Anti-Trump protests rock US cities. Israel denies 2 UK MPs entry. Bobrisky smuggled 35 million naira into Kirikiri prison. Bobrisky smuggled 35 million naira into Kirikiri prison. It seems there's no end to this impasse from Bobrisky. 2 Chinese killed in Abia. That takes us to the stories just beneath the masthead of the nation. Telecom service quality worsens. Air Algeria launches Ajax Abuja flights. The story is on page 24 of the nation. And above the masthead, Labour Party accuses NLC of plotting to evade Secretariat. Party alerts police, DSS. 14 die from 315 meningitis cases in Kebbi, Sokoto, Yobe. 14 died from 315 meningitis cases in Kebbi, Sokoto, Yobe. The story is on page 5 of the nation. Ex-Governor Oluloyo dies 9 days to 90th birthday. Jimoh Ibrahim leads Tinubu's role in strengthening foreign policy. The story is on page 7 and page 4 of the nation. Ex-Governor Oluloyo dies 9 days to 90th birthday, and Jimoh Ibrahim leads Tinubu's role in strengthening foreign policy. With that, we conclude review of front headline stories of the nation this Monday. For more, log on to the website of the nation. Even as we head up to the next paper on our menu this Monday, and that is The Guardian. The Guardian say 1 fiscal year 2 budget spike governance concerns in Rivers. Talking about the sole administrator who is coming up with a fresh budget 2025. And that is where The Guardian's leading story is from this today. He said 1 fiscal year 2 budget spike governance concerns in Rivers. Story runs on page 6 of The Guardian. Emergency responder, 16 others die in Ogun, multiple auto crash. Tinubu Southern governors Afenifere orders mourn Oluloyo. Ekpata says, I choose not to challenge flawed systems as PDP appeals Edo ruling. Plateau killings, enough is enough, says federal government amid calls for emergency rule. NDLEA laments appetite for Canadian-grown cannabis in Nigeria. That takes us to the story just beneath the masthead of The Guardian. U.S. tariffs opportunity to grow Nigeria's non-oil exports, says Oduwole. Adeleke warns Osun monarchs against controversial utterances, fighting publicly. Police withdraw Sanusi's Abuja invitation to quiz monarch in Kano. That brings to an end review of front headline stories on The Guardian newspaper this Monday. For more, log in to the website of The Guardian, www.guardian.ng. From The Guardian, we move over to the Punch newspaper. Punch says this Monday, 20 governors under fire for delaying 70,000 naira minimum wage. Local government workers, teachers in Zamfara, Cross River, Abia, others yet to get minimum wage. We have a picture of the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, during a visit to Operation Safe Haven, following the recent killings in some communities in Bokos local government area of Plateau State. While Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang met with the state indigenes resident in Abuja over the attacks. Still on the Punch newspaper, lynched travelers, Kano Edo governments to hold victims compensation talks. It's a story that continues on page 2 of the Punch. Lynched travelers, Kano Edo governments to hold victims compensation talks. 6 killed, 9 injured in Taraba boat accident. Plateau killings, SSG's convoy escapes terrorist ambush. NSA vows justice. Beside the masthead of the Punch, Nigeria's debt servicing rises 68% to 13 trillion naira. Nigeria's debt servicing rises 68% to 13 trillion naira. That takes us to the stories above the masthead. Police commands brace for fresh nationwide protest. Supreme Court judgment, Abure fears Labour Party headquarters takeover by NLC. 2027 coalition pushes for single-term candidates. That concludes review of front headline stories on the Punch newspaper this Monday, April 7, 2025. Don't forget to log into the website of the Punch for continuation of these headline stories. From Punch, we move over to our sister publication, National Economy. National Economy is a weekly business paper on the stable of Leadership Media Group. Today's news headline says how Nigeria can attain $1 trillion GDP growth projection, coming from the National Economy Board of Economists. How Nigeria can attain $1 trillion GDP growth projection, not National Economy Board of Economists. However, the president did say at the onset of his administration that the nation was going to attain $1 trillion GDP growth. And the National Economy Board of Economists has actually come out with answers to that and how Nigeria can actually attain that lofty ambition. On national economy, rising attacks on telecom infrastructure expose gaps in protection policy. The story runs on page 4 of National Economy. Rising attacks on telecom infrastructure expose gaps in protection policy. From their angle, we move over to the story about the masthead of national economy. National economy is doing a build-up to the Leadership 17th Conference and Awards ceremony be to take place tomorrow at the Presidential Villa. So Leadership 17th Conference and Awards discuss Nigeria's fiscal federalism. It's on this note we bring to an end the first half of today's Inside Nigeria. Join in for the second part of the program with our guest in the studio. Don't go away. Stay tuned.
Get ready for the Leadership Awards and Conference 2024. Join us as we celebrate excellence across various fields, honoring those who've made remarkable impacts. Award categories include Person of the Year, Quinquennial Award for Governance and Infrastructure, Governors of the Year, Business Person of the Year, and many more. Stay updated by following us on social media and visiting our website, leadership.ng. For sponsorship and inquiries, contact us today. Leadership Award and Conference 2024, celebrating excellence, inspiring the future. Get ready.
In case you're just joining us, the program is Inside Nigeria, where we have newspaper review and discuss topical issues. My name is Jennifer Weber once again, and I have my Monday guest in the house. He has PhD in political economics. That's Ali Elias. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have you on the program. So what have we here? Anxiety as police organizers differ. We have a proposed protest coming up on the Cybercrime Act and emergency rule protest in Rivers State. Police protesters head for showdown in Abuja, Lagos. Police, as usual, is already getting fidgety. Anytime a protest is coming up, it always issues commands and orders on what not to do. However, the protesters are insisting on this protest plan.
Right. As I was just coming today, there's a serious gridlock around the federal supply. We have to turn around and pass and look for another alternative route. So I discovered that police also have a police day today.
Yes.
So and the protester is also coming up today. Well, we will see how police can manage it better. Because civil society or even citizens will say it's our right to actually protest.
The IGP said the action is subversive on Police National Day.
right? Well, the thing is, but they must have that.
So they should have days not to protest. You shouldn't protest on
No,
Police National Day.
let's look at it from this perspective. It's also instructive for those that want to protest without going to the vicinity where they have Police National Day, where police will now also provide security for the protester anywhere they are. But it's not bad to happen. But you see that the leader is Omoyele, we definitely want to do that. But we must also confront our security agency less. Sometimes we also push them to what we are not supposed to push them to. So for me, I think police now, this is the best time to actually measure IGP Ebetoku, how we can manage the people and manage Police National Day.
Okay. Now, one of the grounds for the protest, or the proposed protest, is what is happening. The Rivers emergency rule, as declared by President Bola Tinubu. But the Guardian also, in its leading story, says one fiscal year, two budgets spiked governance concerns on Rivers. Recently, we heard that the sole administrator Ibaz was coming up with a fresh budget for 2025. How does it add up for somebody that is meant or that is supposed to spend 6 months in office?
Right, I think it's quite very, very, it's interesting. Because you are going to stay for 6 months,
yes,
and we expect that it will elapse in 6 months.
Yes.
So we expect it to continue from where the governor stops and continue the budget as it were and use it. But now that he's going to do another budget now, is it budget of 6 months or budget of 1 year? And in this case now, he has to take that budget down to Abuja because there is no National Assembly to look at it for him. I mean, State Assembly to look at it. He has to bring it to National Assembly. How soon will National Assembly also pass the budget? But by and large, I think his work is to restore order, not to come and do economic or infrastructure or whatever. I was thinking those infrastructure that are not just that emergency should hold on until the civilian elected governor comes back. This shows that you also want to have money to run this.
Is there more to it than meets the eye for somebody? Because he has also taking charge some appointments.
Well, my first fear is that it's like a question and it's rhetorical. Will Fubara come back as governor?
That's the question. What was the brief?
From what we are actually saying now, the man is sitting down as if he has all the time. You know, his job would have been to pay ideally to who is supposed to pay for and make sure he maintain peace and order. But from the look of things now, I think it's beyond what we are thinking.
Yes, and one also school of thought that also teats towards that what you just said is the fact that you remember President Bola Tinubu, while giving him the brief, told him that the local government funds will be released to him. And one begins to wonder, when the local government were already declared an aberration by the Supreme Court, so why should the local government funds be handled?
Apparently, he has to appoint people in that local government, and that's an aberration.
It's also an aberration because the Supreme Court has already ruled that it's elected official.
Right, you recall that even Fubara has declared August for the election. So that means everything we hold on. I think they want to make things much more easier for him compared to the way Fubara actually find it difficult under the Supreme Court ruling. But we must be careful of precedent. Because what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is creating now is creating another precedent for a bad thing to happen in the future. That means you can at any time declare state of emergency and empower the administrator to do what is not supposed to do. So it's a serious issue that we need to, and we are looking at our legal part of it.
Peradventure, his tenure is increased. Won't it cause a protest, unrest in Rivers State?
Well, from what I'm saying, I don't see Fubara coming. As much as I'm not a prophet of doom, because there will be different canon. They will be opening a lot of things. Recall that the last one was that his former head of service came. So I'm thinking there will be plan to bring in a lot of issues. They will not say, okay, because of this one, because of what you have done, because of that, you cannot retain. Perhaps he will be in the FCC net by the time he's supposed to return. So
but he's an elected governor.
And the problem is that he's an elected governor that have the mandate of his people. So it's so sad. And this is where I expect a lot of people to go to court on his behalf.
But the PDP governors have already gone to court.
Right. No, beyond that, we need more people to actually even stop so that
I saw
putting up another budget. People need to stop him because this is not your responsibility.
Yes, it isn't. Anyway, still on the issue of governance, we have a Punch leading story today. It says 20 governors under fire for delaying 70,000 naira minimum wage. Local government workers, teachers in Zamfara, Cross River, Abia, others yet to get minimum wage.
Right. In as well as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have the political will to actually make sure that they pay.
Even the federal government staff, some
right.
said they have
So
not
it should
even
be able
received.
also to back it up. Remember, even the issue of NYC, this is now they just approve it, and those that are passed through, I don't know how they're going to pay that
They are
back
going to
up.
pay them.
So it's a serious issue that we need to. Once you make a law, once you pronounce it, you have to like follow it very, very stricter sense too. Because if you look at things now, how can you survive with 30,000 in this economy? Can you even take them for 2 days, and let alone even the 70,000 is it enough? And the purchasing power kept reducing every day. So I think President Bola Ahmed Tinubu need to sanction those states, even federal government itself. How can you not pay? You just have to pay, because you did not wait for us before you increase fuel, so remove fuel subsidy. You just so you should not be wait again to actually delay before you can approve those amounts.
Yes, but what is happening? Because apart from we have critics of federal government. We really don't have much critics of state government, because we have a situation whereby since President Bola Tinubu assumed the administration as a president of the country, the revenue that governors shared, it has actually increased from non-oil revenue.
Significantly.
So
yes.
what are they doing? These
Well,
governors
the
doing?
fact is that every governor in their state remain an emperor. And that's a serious problem. So people find it difficult to actually speak. You recall the man that spoke at Ogun State, a journalist who is a local government chairman. Immediately he speak like this, he was removed.
So I was even betrayed by his
right. If he's not even removed, if he's honest, he will be attacked because they will see different talks, different people attacking him. That why should he say that? But they almost still fall back on Mr. President. You can say you delay the allocation, or you say okay, you want to put to that local government directly. I think the only people that can actually do it is the federal government, because if people will still go to court, they will still not take heed to what they are saying, and they have gotten much more increased funding. Where are they actually keeping those money? And this West Indian also need to talk.
That also takes us to this issue of federalism. What is actually the Attorney General,
right?
Talking about fiscal federalism. Yes, Supreme Court has made a pronouncement. What are they going to do to enforce that pronouncement? Talking about local government.
I can tell you, most governors are finding a way not to allow that thing to hold up till now. And Mr. President actually knows that, so he has to stand on his words, because citizens are actually depending on him in this case, because governors, they want to have more money to their pocket, and they also have their own priority of projects. That's another thing. When the government bring this, they have their own that no, this is what you have to do. So I think Attorney General need to go back to their courts again and said these people did not. There's a contempt of law. They have to hold those things. Make sure they implement it as
because we saw a situation whereby even just the pronouncement left Supreme Court, a governor like Soludo of Anambra State sent a bill to the state's House of Assembly to direct this local government chair to bring about percentage of the allocation to the purpose of the
exactly.
And it passed through.
Was it Soludo?
Yes,
it was because I saw it when everybody was signing it and it was also very.
And it was actually discussed in the House of Representatives, and where it was blandly condemned.
But is it condemned or by taking action? They need to take action, because I remember was there Akwa Ibom also that people actually came out and said they want the way the things are actually going, and they don't want it to be normal. And I wonder where are we in this country? I watched that Soludo on live on TV, and
it was one condemned by the
I was surprised. So, but what is the federal government doing about it? Why can't they hold the allocation?
Because many people are saying that that the Supreme Court ruling is like you are backing back without bites.
I think there's a lacuna that we also need to look at. So if there's lacuna, the Attorney General needs to go back to court and correct those things. If not, it will because they believe that their state House of Assembly can do law on how they appropriate their money. I think that's what is giving us that gap.
And it's even I think even paying of minimum wage, I think is even much better in the south side, because we have somewhere in the north where they are giving them up to now peanuts
less than 30,000.
Yes,
and that's why when you see them, most of them don't go to work.
Yes.
They just stay at home, because how can you pay people so less and you expect them to
less than 30,000?
Yes, 15,000.
Yes,
local government workers.
Yes.
Some local government workers. I read it in some places, and Where do they even go to office in the first place? They were expected to just be in their home and get it, and that's why we have low performance in those states. Because by the time you empower your workforce, they tend to still do more. Imagine a teacher that you are paying 15,000. How can he teach children very well?
Thank you so much. Now, the Punch newspaper, Nigeria's debt servicing rises 68% to 13 trillion naira. What is the implication for the 2025 budget?
Right. When you talk about debt, Nigerians will be quick to take you, especially government, take you to debt to GDP. And before, we used to talk about debt to revenue. That was our argument as an economist. We now say, no, we have more revenue now, and the debt is actually lower. It's not bad to actually borrow. Our first question is that what are you borrowing for? Let me give you a good example of two borrow.
Okay.
Buhari borrowed for railway. You see Abuja, Kaduna is practical. We see Lagos, Ibadan, and that you see Itakwe, Warri. These are good borrowings. We also see Benue Road, whereby they are even putting toll the gates so that people can get money. So this one you are borrowing. When you are approaching the National Assembly, you are supposed to attach what you are going to use the money for, and with the agreement that you will not veer the money. And that's why DMO, Debt Management Office, also need to advise president appropriately. But how can you advise your employee? It's someone in our client here. The employee will tell you that that's how I want it to be. But it's not a good thing, because especially now that the federal government is getting more revenue. If you look at it, in fact, this year budget, recall by January, the president came up and said they are moving the budget from 49 to 54 because the FIRS is making more money, and we are still going cap in hand to borrow. It's not a good one for the economy.
It's not good. So what is the implication for the budget? Because as it is, we already have a budget deficit widening.
For me, that budget is going to shift to like 60. Because we usually have the supplementary budget, and that will come maybe in the third quarter. There is no way they can survive with it. And I must also tell you that because of the economy and the way things are expensive, our debt is also increasing. Because the more the value of dollar, the more the debt also increases, and the less the value of the money that you have within your coffer. So for me, 54 budget is too patchy to even survive Nigeria economy. So we must go borrow to fund the budget.
All right, thank you so much. Not just before we go, there's still so many deaths on the plateau. What is happening? What is happening? Because by December, we also had the same orgy of killings in the plateau. And yesterday, too, it was the same thing.
Right. If you, first and foremost, you recall when the Rome crisis happened.
Yes.
That very day, the news broke and government took action in it. But when we get to hear about it takes like 4 days or 3 days before we start, hearing those. So it simply means that, different stroke for different, it's a very bad thing. But and for Jos, I think it's the plateau generally.
Yes,
I think it's in
focus.
So I think there must be a final solution.
And even
if you ask me, I think it's land issue that is
2 weeks ago, the Otukpo, they were protesting about killing.
They need to protest. So, but I think the plateau might not go down soon because it's much more of land. We are a settler claiming the owner of the land. The owner of the land said that they don't give you the land. That's what's actually causing the issue. Except government intervene quickly through traditional rulers. That's how they can actually solve the problem.
All right. So, national economy, just before we go, says how Nigeria can attain $1 trillion GDP growth projection. How feasible is that? Is because President Tinubu did say at the inception of his administration that he was going to attain $1 trillion. Is that not an ambitious?
A question I will put to you. Is it this one that remains 2 years and 1 month? Or hopefully maybe if he returns. Because this is over ambitious. It's not work and fly. Even though by the time we rebase, because that's another thing government is looking at. We are going to rebase our GDP. We only rebase inflation. So by the time they rebase the GDP, we may now be the number 1 in Africa.
Wow.
Or number 2. So that's what is actually banking. But even at that, it's even up to 1 trillion.
1 trillion. All right. Well, viewers, is on this note we come to an end of today's Inside Nigeria. Of course, I've had the pleasure of having company today. A PhD in political economics, Dr. Aliyu Elias. I look forward to having you same time, same station.
Thank you for having me.
My name is Winifred Blackboard. Don't forget to join us tomorrow for another fresh edition of the program. Thank you for joining us.
Get ready for the Leadership Awards and Conference 2024. Join us as we celebrate excellence across various fields, honoring those who've made remarkable impacts. Award categories include Person of the Year, Quinquennial Award for Governance and Infrastructure, Governors of the Year, Business Person of the Year, and many more. Stay updated by following us on social media and visiting our website, leadership.ng. For sponsorship and inquiries, contact us today. Leadership Award and Conference 2024, celebrating excellence, inspiring the future.